Welcome, everyone. My name is Cindy Bonin, and I work for Gardeer Initiative, and I am a co-chair of the Convening Working Group. So, Forrest, if you could drop the link in the chat to sign in, and everybody go ahead and sign in. All right, well, we're going to start with affirming the organization because we believe that it is important to do that at the beginning of all of our meetings. And so, if you guys didn't know, BRAYN is a network for youth organizations that provide one or more of the following: after school youth programming, summer youth programs, and/or wraparound support services for youth. BRAYN's goals, we have two main goals: build the youth services field to improve how communities and schools work together to create more equitable outcomes for youth in the long term, and increasing youth engagement in high quality out of school opportunities in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas. And our three principles of practice are community, collaboration, and consensus. So community means if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The quality of our relationships and trust matter. We want to move at the speed of trust. And that is why community and learning to work together and trust each other is so important. And collaboration, we can fight for the scraps that fall off the table, or we can build that bigger table together. And we want to collaborate and build that bigger table. And consensus. So this process requires us to slow down, take time to build shared understanding, and value equity in decision making. Awesome. I'm gonna hand it over to you, Jasmine. We just affirmed the organization.
All right, perfect timing, y'all. Thank you so much for your patience. I appreciate you, Cindy and SK. I am going to go ahead and get us started with our presentation today. If you don't know me, I am Jasmine Johnson, the BRAYN Network Administrator. And as Cindy said, we are here for our July convening. So I'm just going to get the slides set up. And where we are, we're going to talk about strengthening school and community partnerships today. As you all may or may not know, this organization was founded by the Gardeer Initiative, Big Buddy, Humanities Amped, Capital Area United Way, and the Wilson Foundation. I think you all know that strengthening school community partnerships is something that is needed in Baton Rouge. This model was created by these organizations, and we did discuss this last year, but we just wanted to, give a refresher on exactly what we want. So the purpose of that model is to strengthen the school and community partnerships so that there's clear, measurable, but most of all, a sustainable process in place for EBR schools and BRAYN member organizations to work together. And that will, of course, improve outcomes for EBR students and families. We have 4 overarching goals with a lot of arms, but overall, academic excellence, partnership, school emotional learning, and safety are the goals of BRAYN. What makes a strong school and community partnership varies from parish to parish or state to state, but there are some general strengths that all school community partnerships should have. When putting this model together, there were several points discussed. I'm not going to go over all of them today, but I just wanted to highlight a few. Of course, putting the student at the center is the only way that it works. We also want to identify the strengths of each organization. So not making all organizations do one thing, but identifying the strengths. We do have a multi-year MOU signed in policy with EBR where these points are discussed in detail. The model is great and it makes sense, right? But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how this process and how this model will be implemented in EBR. So I'm going to turn it over to SK Grohl to talk about how we're defining the process and the next steps.
Awesome, thanks, Jasmine. And I am trying to make sure that everybody is from the waiting room. So if you could double check that on your end, because I know we're both in this account.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, so I'm SK Grohl. I am the program coordinator of operations for Baton Rouge Community Farm under the Walls Project. I also work with BRAYN as a co-chair of the resource sharing working group. And so that's two of the hats I'm coming to you with. But I'll talk a little bit about the fall 2023 pilot program with EBRPSS. So this pilot was envisioned a while ago and is finally coming to fruition this fall, which we're really excited about. A couple of the things that we're going to talk today. So I'm going to give you a little bit of grounding in the purpose and history of BRAYN and how that influences the pilot. I'll give an overview of the pilot structure. And then I will talk a little bit about what this means for your organizations. And then we'll have a panel of folks who were involved in a summer pilot this past year and what lessons they learned from working with the district in that pilot and how that will influence our fall pilot. All right, so BRAYN, like Jasmine said, was developed out of a desire for effective collaboration between organizations and the schools. And we have some kind of guiding principles that lead us to work towards effective school community partnerships, right? And like Jasmine said, that influenced our MOU with EBRPSS and the things that we're building towards. So starting in the 2023-2024 school year, EBRPSS and Superintendent Narcisse have determined that all community partners who work within EBRPSS schools must be BRAYN certified. Our goal as BRAYN in this is not to gatekeep working with the schools, but to ensure that the organizations that are working with school issues, that are working with the district, are highly effective, are safe, are certified in all the ways they need to be certified, and are operating with high standards. We want to raise the quality of and ensure high quality for youth development across our city and across our region. And so our goal in this is assistance and support and not gatekeeping. BRAYN is here for everybody who's trying to problem solve, making sure that they have the right standards for certification, insurance, all of the above. Can I get the next slide? So BRAYN members are broken into different categories. There are certified BRAYN members, which include certified resource partners, certified school partners, and then lead school partners. And then there are uncertified members. So any member who is just signed up for the BRAYN newsletter, comes to these convenings. If you haven't gone through the certification process, you fall into that uncertified category, right? But BRAYN is in form or fashion. And then we'll get into, on the next slide, what it means to be certified. So the benefits of BRAYN certification are that certified organizations can engage in data sharing with EBRPSS, which is a big barrier for a lot of orgs doing youth work, have access to EBRPSS students at a different level and on EBRPSS sites, use of those facilities, and then support both from BRAYN administratively and between BRAYN organizations in coordinating with the district and connection to other youth services providers at those sites, and then financial assistance. For example, this past summer, this current summer, but this past program with EBRPSS, some of the organizations that were BRAYN certified that worked with the schools in providing content and youth services at EBRPSS led programming received financial assistance from a grant that BRAYN had received. And so we're hoping to continue to do that, of applying to grants as BRAYN and being able to redistribute those funds to certified organizations that are working under collaborative programming. Next slide, please. So certified members are broken into a couple of different categories. They are resource partners, school partners, and then lead school partners. But all of them meet the criteria for BRAYN membership, which includes safety standards and protocols, having an employee handbook, which addresses a variety of things that we talked about at the January convening, and that training was recorded and posted on the BRAYN member hub, liability insurance, all those good things. And those organizations, you became certified by submitting a letter of intent as well as backup documentation to BRAYN's membership committee for review at a previous certification deadline. Next slide, please. So the certified organizations are resource partners, which include Louisiana Art and Science Museum, the library system, the Center for Literacy, and I'm going to blank on the full name, but there's a couple of organizations that are not necessarily providing direct school programming. You might not be at a particular middle school, elementary school, high school every week, but you're there regularly, or you're collaborating with schools and with other BRAYN partners. So you meet that standards of safety checklist, you're in good standing with the Secretary of State, and you offer services that are aligned to the district and school needs, but you're providing resources rather than direct content or programming. Certified school partners are really based at a school and providing direct content or programming. And then lead school partners are the ones who have stepped forward to say, we're going to take a larger hand in the pilot programming, that we have the capacity to facilitate or coordinate other partners at a site. And we have evidence of an existing partnership with a school that demonstrates some promise and that could host a pilot site. So let's talk about what those pilots are. Next slide, please.
Of every month, and that has our list of projects.
So our pilot program, the goal is really to coordinate the community partners and all of the community partners at particular pilot sites in order to promote effective communication with the school administration, to problem solve some common barriers and challenges, and meet the needs of young people and families at that site. We also want to develop a framework for effective collaboration for the schools and community organizations. And through this pilot program, we're doing some ongoing feedback and data collection, right? We know what it means as youth serving organizations to get to a school site and need to coordinate things like Wi-Fi access for your staff, or shared transportation needs, or coordinating student feeding, meals and snacks, working with principals or working with staff members, making sure that everyone's on this shared schedule or knows how to communicate with each other. So those kind of basic challenges that come logistically with working at a school site are part of what we're trying to problem solve, but also making sure that if a school has particular needs, right, that there's a content area or an enrichment area where they're really looking to supplement programming, that BRAYN can effectively meet that need and find a partner who's aligned to what is not at that school site, bring them in and make sure that they're coordinated with the partners who are already on the ground. And also make sure that, at times when there's multiple community partners at a school site, we can get in a place of stepping on each other's toes. And the goal of this here is really to make sure that we're all working in tandem and that a rising tide is going to lift all boats and not that we're competing with each other for the scraps that fall off the table. Next slide, please. So the pilot structure right now is there will be 4 to 5 school sites this fall. And that the school sites that we're focusing on have just been chosen based on certified organizations that applied last year to be part of the pilot program, right? The pilot program will include monthly meetings across those school sites. That will be the School Community Partnership Working Group, and then monthly meetings for each school site. So each school that's involved will have a monthly meeting, and that monthly meeting will include the pilot organization, partner organizations, district representatives, and school administrative representatives. And obviously other stakeholders involved in this program include school staff and the students and families that are there, right? But all of this is kind of falling under BRAYN's School Community Partnerships Working Group. So each site that is participating in the pilot program will have a monthly meeting, and then a representative, the lead organization, will come together across the different sites for the School Community Partnerships Working Group, which will coordinate the whole pilot. And the goal of these monthly meetings are to make sure that we are collecting data on how it's going, what barriers people are facing, what assistance BRAYN can provide in sorting out the logistics on those sites, and then how we can collect data so that going forward, we really have a robust and effective framework for school and community partnership. Next slide, please. So the tentative sites chosen are based on the organizations that were BRAYN certified that applied to be pilot organizations last year. And these organizations are Scepter Project, Gardeer Initiative, Humanities Amped, Walls Project, and Big Buddy. The sites were chosen based on those organizations. So if an organization had a strong partnership at a site or was already based at a school site, then that school site became the pilot site, right? This list will be is a tentative list and will be confirmed in early August based on the final agreement of that organization to serve as the lead partner, as well as the agreement of the school administration. So just in double checking with everybody before the school year begins, that list will be confirmed, but this is the tentative and current list. Next slide. So if your organization is BRAYN certified, but not a lead organization, you can get involved by contacting admin at our BRAYN to be matched with a site. Now, if you are, say, at a Scotlandville High School or a Tara High School or a Progress Elementary already, and you're really interested in continuing your relationship with that school, you would want to include that in your email. Just note any preferences you have. If you are an organization that serves a particular age group, elementary, middle, or high school, you'll want to include that as well to make sure that you can get connected with those particular sites. Also important to note, if you are reaching out as a BRAYN certified organization, but you are not at one of the sites that's listed already, please include that information so that Jasmine can effectively work with your needs. Next slide. And if your organization is BRAYN certified but not located at one of those school sites, that's okay. So for you, let me back up. All of the organizations that work with EBRPSS schools in the 2023-2024 school year must be BRAYN certified per the district. If your certified organization would like to lead a pilot site at a school that's not listed, then you can contact admin@ourbrayn.org. We are open to adding additional pilot sites, but we want to make sure that those happen at places where there's an organization that can be the lead, that can facilitate those monthly meetings, that can liaise between BRAYN and what is happening on site so that we can effectively collect data, and that we're not overburdening an organization that doesn't have that capacity right now. So it's all right if you are a certified partner, you can continue the programming you're doing. You don't necessarily need to be at a pilot site in order for that to happen, as long as you're certified. Next slide. And if your organization is not currently certified, there is an option on the table for you. So organizations have to be certified to continue providing services at EBRPSS schools during this upcoming school year. The next certification deadline is in September, which means that you would not necessarily be able to provide direct services in August, right? You can still advertise to that school site. You can still build relationships at the beginning of the school year, but in order to provide direct services to youth, you will need to be certified, and we highly encourage that to be in the September deadline. The way to do that is really simple: to contact admin@ourbrayn.org and start a conversation with Jasmine, our BRAYN network administrator, about ensuring that you are meeting all the standards for certification. We are here to support organizations in becoming certified. We want everybody who is in the youth development sphere in Baton Rouge to be able to continue doing this work. We just want to ensure that there's high quality and that everyone has the resources they need to be doing this work safely. Next slide. All right, so I'll pause for a second before we get into a panel section. What questions do folks have about the fall 2023 pilot program?
SK, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, if nobody had questions, I was given 2 questions to ask, but I want to just make sure if anybody else had questions before I ask. It was going to be 1 question to Ms. Jasmine and then 1 question for the operators.
Yeah, absolutely. And the operators, I'm going to get into questions for just in a minute, Courtney. So I wanted to do questions about the pilot program first, and then we'll get into the panel for the summer operators.
Thank you.
We're a quiet group today. So are there any questions about certification?
SK, I guess I would ask a question regarding about certification. Is that
That's
okay?
great. Yes, please.
Okay. The question I guess I have would be, what encouragement, and this could be for you or Ms. Jasmine, will be, what encouragement would you submit or share with programs that have not submitted their LOI yet or are certified?
So for my part, I'd say I've been through this process of getting Walls Project and Baton Rouge certified. There is an LOI template, which is really helpful in terms of like knowing, there's a checklist and a template in terms of knowing what you have to gather documentation wise from your organization and what you need to submit. The membership committee is really helpful in working through that. So I know for me, working through this on the program side, using that template and that checklist was very helpful. Talking with Jasmine and with the membership committee was really helpful. And then it gave me kind of the list of things that I needed to source from other people in my organization, other types of documentation. Putting that packet together, the thing that was most challenging was just making sure that I had like all the little bits and pieces, which is actually why this past year, the resource sharing working group developed the employee handbook template. And so I'd say that's the other really helpful thing that you can do is on the BRAYN member hub, get the employee handbook template, because that actually walks you through every single protocol that you need for BRAYN certification, as well as some that are just like bonus and good to have, and really helpful. And I'll give a huge shout out to Kayla Stansberry of Humanities AMP, who was just the operations wizard that put that handbook template together, both for her organization and for BRAYN as a whole. It's a really useful resource and kind of sets you up for success from the jump to be certified. So just going through that. And then if there's any pieces where you're like, oh, I don't know that my organization has this kind of insurance or this policy or whatever else, there are people who are willing to like sit with you and kind of give some resources around that. We both on the member hub have insurance resources that you can reach out to, as well as examples of some of these policies from other BRAYN organizations. And so if you take a little bit of time to work through the resources that the BRAYN member hub has available, you should be able to either write or update any of your policies for your organization to be in compliance with BRAYN standards.
And I will add to, thank you, SK. That was a great testimony to the process. But I want to also add that I am always available. I lead the membership working group alongside Dr. Harrison. And so if you reach out to me with any of your concerns, I'm happy to help. I think SK has shared a couple of times that this is not, a gatekeeping process. This is definitely to get everyone certified and really in a coordinated effort where principals can choose from the quality that exists. If you are not where you want to be, that's where BRAYN comes in. We are here to listen to what your needs are for your organization and then acquire those services, whether we are talking, to the district or, going after funding, having you networking with other organizations that already do that well or, already have that in place. So please reach out to me. Use the link in my signature. That is the best way for us to just schedule a short 30-minute meeting. Some members on this call can tell you I have spoken to them several times, and I've also gone to their office and walked through the process with them. So whatever you need, we just need to schedule an appointment. But I am here to help your organization get certified.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to if we can get the next slide. So we have a panel of folks who were available from the operators of the summer programming. So the summer pilot program, which we had talked about a lot in convenings this spring, was a collaboration between BRAYN and the district to serve UIR and CIR schools, so urgent improvement required and critical improvement required schools that were operating no-cost summer programs for youth at those sites. In the structure of the program was that in the mornings, the students would attend literacy and math programming led by the district and led by EBRPSS teachers. And after lunch, they would attend enrichment programming that was full of social and emotional learning, full of project-based learning, and led by BRAYN member organizations. And so Those 4 operator programs were BREC, Boys and Girls Club, Big Buddy, and the YMCA, and they served as the lead at various sites. And then they coordinated the involvement of additional content providing partners. So other BRAYN organizations like Go Learn, like the museums, they're like Girl Scouts, came in as additional content providers and enrichment assistants. And BRAYN coordinated the kind of shared effort of this across different sites, as well as collected data on how the collaboration went so that we could inform future summers and future collaboration. So this is a little bit of, not the same, obviously, because summer and fall become different beasts, but this was something that really gave us a look into what it means to both coordinate a kind of framework across multiple sites, as well as to collect data on this so that we can inform future iterations. And I've got a few questions for the wonderful panel of folks that are here. So from BREC, we have Claire and Ryan, who I believe I see on the
Hello.
Yes, wonderful. Hello. Who were site leaders. We have Bobby Jones from Boys and Girls Club. And then we have Miss Gay from Big Buddy Program. And so my first question for y'all is that we're very grateful for the way that EBR actively participated in the planning of the summer pilots. For your agency, what were the contributions that made participation meaningful for your organization? And what resources did EBR contribute that made planning for the summer better for your organization and agency? And I'll turn it over to anyone who wants to speak on that question.
Hi, I'll jump in. I was given 5 days notice to come up with a camp program for 4 weeks. So I did not get a lot of resources from anybody or anything. We were on our own. I had a roster that even until the last day of the 4 weeks had no emergency contact information on some of the kids, except for an email. That's not how BREC operates camp. So it was a struggle to know who to talk to and who to go to. We went to the school administration and asked for information. We didn't get it. We had a room that was okay, but the AC wasn't really working, and we were told we were going to get fans. We didn't. Outside was really, really hot. Little shade, little resources for outdoor activities. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. I was at La Belle Air Elementary, and the kids themselves, it was very, and I'll admit, my programming structure development background is outdoor programming, nature programming. I was at the Nature Center for almost 20 years. It was a nightmare for me to walk outside and see that I had concrete and grass and one tree in a very sterile environment. We did have great times. I have developed a lot of relationships with the children that were there, and I will remember them fondly, but that did not go at all like I would have wanted it to go. We planned programming months in advance. I was planning the next day's schedule the night before. Content was difficult because of the nature of the children themselves. I have not been on frontline directly dealing with children for a while. I am a BREC administrator at this point. And I did talk to many people. There is a post-COVID syndrome happening where the kids are emotionally behind. So I came in planning programming for a certain age group when I should have had it way down. After my first week, I was a fish out of water, and I took everything I thought I was going to do as far as content goes, and I had to break everything down into much, in my opinion, less in-depth programming that cycled every half hour, and we did rounds, and that was a much more successful thing. But none of the staff and myself were not prepared. We were not prepared to deal with the social needs of this group. The kids were so emotionally hyper reactive. In the classrooms, they were, the group that I had all together in one room were split into 4 classrooms prior to us. And I get it now. You walk into those classrooms and there's a desk at each corner of the room and a couple desks in the middle of the room, and the children were separated. when they came together as a group, the majority of the kids went into feral mode, and it was a lot of stimulation through agitation, and they were so difficult to deliver content because we could not get their brains, after being given instruction for 90 minutes of mathematics, 90 minutes of English lit, and then food. It was like they had just been fueled up and thrown at us and put into one room. It just made things very, very difficult. We changed our format to a on-site, off-site, on-site, off-site. And that was kind of like survival mode, just because I needed the time at night. I had a hired staff of counselors, but I'm the programmer, and I had the program materials, and I was prepping until midnight or 1 a.m. to be ready for the next day. And I had the best, I'll have to say, the best team of people that I worked with. It was absolutely fantastic, but we struggled, and it was a burden for us. And I feel like we did not serve the kids the best. I think that knowing ahead of time that possibly we could have had other resources. I think even the parents, had we been able to communicate with the parents beforehand and created a dialogue of expectations and what to expect, that we could have let the parents know, you know, these are the rules. I didn't know if we could hold these children involved in this program to the same level that we would at a BREC camp. We've got zero tolerance for violence, bullying, and this, if I had zero tolerance, the second day I would have had about 12 kids in my group, as opposed to the 34 that were on the roster. These kids needed so much more than just a camp type program. And I feel like with given more time and a better knowledge myself of what's happening with these school age kids, we could have served them better. And I'm fairly certain that they all had a great time. And I think, you know, our last day of camp, I mean, they were just they were outside of themselves excited about everything that we had done. And that was part of the challenge that I faced. But, you know, we couldn't have done it without extremely capable hands. By the last week, I had myself and 7 counselors dealing with about 30 kids. And it was difficult.
So I'm hearing, Claire, from some of the things that you're sharing, some difficulties around both information sharing with the district, as well as feeling prepared for the out of school time programming that BREC was engaging in the camp. And that's absolutely fair. I think there's some great comments that are happening in the chat right now. I want to redirect us to the questions so that some of the other partner organizations can answer this. So what are some of the ways that EBR collaboration made participation meaningful for your organization, and what resources did EBR contribute that made planning for the summer better for your organization agency? And I'm hearing definitely the struggles that BREC faced in terms of that coordination. And I want to continue talking about that and not put it aside as part of this conversation, because it's a really, really crucial lesson for us. And I saw Ms. Gay, you talk about the SWAT meeting. I'm wondering if we can hear a little bit from Big Buddy or Boys and Girls Club about the resources that EBR contributed to the summer planning.
Yeah, I can go. So the taking care of the learning aspect in the morning, that's something that we normally did in the summer, but we're not the experts at it. And we always tell parents that we don't, you know, our workers are not teachers, but we try our best to help them. So actually having them import teachers in that part in the morning was very helpful. And then also the transportation, also giving the kids a ride home. We know that in, you know, that's a very big chunk of money right there when you pay for transportation. So the fact that they took that one and took the kids home and did the bus routes was a plus.
Ms. Gay, did you have any other thoughts from Big Buddy's perspective?
Yes, I also, I'm in the room, Jasmine and I are sharing the room because all of the electricity went out at Big Buddy. So we're trying to use some Wi-Fi we're sharing. So that's why, so we have to coordinate our mics. But yes, I want to honor Claire's concerns. We definitely, Claire, I'm going to reach out and make sure you are at the table for the SWAT meeting to hear that. Sounds like there was some practical, like on the ground miscommunication. This partnership has been being planned and worked on since January. And so through January through June, you know, there were plans and talks. I do think, and I think we're going to address this in some other questions, that there were some miscues in communication, but the fact that we have EBR at the table willing to allocate resources. So for us for Big Buddy, like Mr. Bobby at Boys and Girls Club, providing that transportation to and from programs was huge for our organization. Also, EBR managed the enrollment system, like letting kids enroll. Now on the back end, there were little, you know, we'll talk about that later, but that took a big lift off of us. I also want to say having, as Mr. Bobby, having professionals, the staff do the academic portion of the day was also a plus for us, because that's something we usually had to, you know, scramble to get. I think the partnership also allowed for a sharing of information between programs, like, you know, youth serving programs, members of BRAYN, and the district, because there are some things they weren't aware that we struggle with, and there were some things we weren't aware that they struggle with in planning these huge programs. And so I think the sharing of information, the building of relationship has brought us, you know, a step closer to really having a robust school community partnership for the fall. So a lot of lessons learned. But yes, so that was the things that our agency benefited from.
Thanks, y'all. I'll turn it to Jasmine for the next question.
Yeah, thank you. And Gabe, that actually kind of transitions. You're talking about partnership. And so the next question is, how has the experience this summer helped to build your knowledge of partnerships in general, and more specifically, your knowledge of partnering with EBR school system? And I will put it in the chat. And if we can go in the same order, that would be Claire, Bobby, and then Gay. How has this experience this summer helped to build your knowledge of partnerships in general, and more specifically, your knowledge of partnering with the EBR school system?
Certainly, I've never worked youth programming in a school. So I mean, like I said, I was a fish out of water. I'm much more comfortable in the middle of the woods with 30 kids than I am in a classroom with them. So that was definitely a different perspective. I feel like for me, I mean, it was a huge benefit for me, just because it provided a totally unique and new perspective, a new landscape. But I mean, you know, look, we had a child, that one particular child, and the emotional problems that the child was dealing with, we were unaware of as well. And again, that was just something I wasn't prepared to deal with. But the shortcoming to me was that I wasn't prepared to help the parent either, with some family issues that they were having. So not really knowing the resources, I went to the school's guidance counselor and said, you know, do y'all have resources for this parent? Because I need to be able to, I really just linked the parent to the counseling services at the school to help with the emotional things that were happening, that were affecting us specifically with the programming and behavior management. But the working with the schools, that was also a resource that we did have. I don't know, again, what the system was or our internal things were when we did have kids that were so disruptive that they reached that point of, we cannot manage you anymore. We were able to bring in the school administration. That's not something that, you know, we are the lead on talking to the parents, but because we had a school administration that knew these kids year round, that knew their parents, there were different levels of discussion and intensities of discussions that could happen with the parents. So that was a help. The kids did not want to go to the office, and we didn't threaten that unless it was one of those, you're making a decision at this point because you're not listening to us. All we're left with is you're going to need to go talk to Miss so-and-so, this and that kind of a thing. So, yes, if there's lots of discussions that can happen as far as in advance of working with the school, saying these are our program standards. This is where ours ends and someone else would need to take over. How would that look? We need to be able to meld with the school administration as far as the programming goes, and possibly have, even an alternative for ones that just are not working in the camp program. Where would they go? If they're riding a bus in the afternoon, they're not going to sit outside the principal's office for the rest of the afternoon. So these things are things that need to be addressed. I don't think that the level of disruption that we experienced was commonplace across the board. I think there's some, but I mean, this was a tough group. This was a really tough group. So it did definitely, I will be happy to participate in any discussions as far as we go. I don't know what our role is going to be. My interest would be to get the kids away from the school, to provide enrichment, not at the school grounds, to provide, I mean, we did field trips twice, but I would be more concerned in having all the kids load up on a bus and take them to a program location where we are better prepared, better outfitted, better sourced and resourced to be able to do what it is that we do more effectively.
Claire, I appreciate that feedback, and we are going to talk more about challenges. I want to bring us back to the question where we want to know, how has this experience this summer helped to build your knowledge of partnerships in general, and more specifically, your knowledge of partnering with the EBR school system?
Hey, good morning. My name is Ryan from Breck. I can chime in on this part. I worked with the campsite up at White Hills, and I'll say it was. Now I've been with Breck for a while, and I thought that we partnered and collaborated with a lot of groups. But seeing this massive network, there's lots of opportunities for partnerships with groups that we've never really worked with before, and so I think kind of getting to know better about how everybody works, or what spheres they operate in, I think is exciting, just to know that there's this many resources right here in town for people to share and come together on. And then specifically for the EBR part, I guess the level of, I don't want to say compartmentalization, but knowing that transportation works differently than the on-site staff worked, and then the registration was led by at the district level. And so kind of once I was able to kind of familiarize myself with, okay, the principals and the school site administrators at White Hills they know this much information, and then the parents got this much information about transportation and whenever they signed up, and now this is, so we were able to kind of identify the gaps that we're not really used to and fill those in. But I think just the more that we talk through it, and our staff on site every day was able to get a really good relationship and kind of work really closely with the administrators on site at the school, which was able to help. So, but it just wasn't something that I was used to, better understanding all the intricacies of the school system.
Thank you, Ryan, for your response. Bobby, can you answer that same question?
Yeah, so gave us a good chance to see the strengths of the school district, and also the weaknesses of the school district, and then ourselves, also reflecting on ourselves, our strengths and our weaknesses. It gave my directors a chance to, we always work on professional development, but nothing's like being in person and growing in person. So I got a chance to work on that professional development, and then also just really gave us a big, we're able to see the big picture of what this can turn into and what this can be in the future. And we started out, this is where we started at. You never start at the top, you build to the top. And so now being able to see the picture of what can be is pretty exciting, and look forward to moving forward with it.
I definitely agree, Bobby. Okay, can you answer that same question?
Yeah, I think that it allows you to see your strengths and your weaknesses being in partnership, you know, and deciding what you can do well and what you like, let somebody else do. And so I think this partnership was that for us. It also said to me, because I've been, you know, working with EBR for a very long time, but it did say to me that they are ready to play. You know, they're ready to be involved with the community in a real way. Some of the resources they rolled out, again, I mean, you know, they weren't readily available, you know, in the past. So I think they are ready to play. They realize the benefit that all of these resources bring. Yes, we have some young people and some families who are in crisis, some that are acknowledged crisis, some that are not. And so we have to arm ourselves with more knowledge and resources to be able to help the schools. They can't do it all by themselves, you know, and I think that's what they're realizing. Like, they can't just educate kids every day. They're going to need some supportive resources. And I feel like BRAYN, we have that. We have that together. We just have to know how to apply it to their process, or help them change the process so that the application is more effective. So.
Thank you, Gay. And so, like you said, EBR is ready to play, which means everyone's strengths and weaknesses are about to be exposed. So it's a vulnerable place where there has to be trust. Working with a district as large as EBR has regular challenges. We've been, you know, hearing of some of those today. These are challenges that are not a problem to the internal operations of the district, but are definite stumbling blocks for those working in partnership. As with any partnerships, however, there are unanticipated opportunities and threats. What did you learn about partnership with the district that you wish you would have known before entering into the partnership? And we will go in the same order, starting with Ryan or Claire. I know that was a little long.
Yes, I'm reading the question again.
Yeah.
Here, I will answer. This is Jeb. I'm here
Oh,
also. And so I think for us, one of the things that really caught us off guard was the lack of communication between the district and the actual schools. We going into, you know, White Hills and La Belle Aire, our principals knew nothing about what this program even was, what was going on, how the registration happened, who was actually on the registration forms. And so that was, and both White Hills and La Belle Aire worked very well with us once we were on site, but they also came in with very little knowledge of what was going on. And so that was challenging.
I second that. Thanks, Jeb. I was struggling with words, but that's
right. Well, Bobby, will you answer that same question? What did you learn about partnership with the district that you wish you would have known before entering into the partnership?
Yeah, I think Jeb, one of the big ones was that I think the communication piece all the way across was kind of not there. And I feel like if everybody was on board, the schools and tenant and the principals, I think we could have produced a better summer. It was a decent summer, but I think if they were on board and actually included into some of the meetings that we had and things like that, it would have been better. And then also just helping them with some of the things that they lacked in that we consider strengths here that we can help them with. And so just learning each other and learning what their strengths is and what our strengths are and their weaknesses and where we can fit in and help them to build a better program.
Thank you, Bobby. And Gay, same question.
Thank you. I kind of put mine in the chat, but I was amening Jeb. When you showed up at the school, the principals were not, you know, aware a lot of times. But if you've had experience with the schools, you know, you kind of knew that and you compensated for it. But I think it threw some of the partners who were new to this, partnership with the district a little off. I also said, having a meeting with the department heads that ran the different resources that they were employing. We had a great communicator in Dr. Stovall. She was the lead from the district side. She was like expert communicator, helped to move barriers. I mean, like she organized and stood up a job fair because we were saying, we don't have enough staff. Awesome. But she did not have control over transportation. She had to work with the transportation lead, and we didn't anticipate that. We thought, okay, if Dr. Stovall said it, then we're good, but that wasn't how, that was a mishap. Nutrition was great. They understood how to work in partnerships. I guess they did that, but I think all in the marketing and communications people, like understanding that, hey, if folks sign up on this spreadsheet and they don't go to this school, we're going to drop them. And so we could have helped to say, hey, don't drop them, we can take them. Or we could have helped solve some problems. Like Mr. Bobby said, if we would have known about them. But as a district, they're used to functioning a certain way. And they just went on with the way they were functioning. So I think having a meeting, I'm making notes, too, from this feedback, is having a meeting with all the district heads or heads of resources that are coming. So we could talk about the partnership, and they are aware of what we need. We're aware of how they operate, so we can help save a lot of time. And then on the other end, like Jeb's saying, having a meeting with the school, the folks who are on the ground working through this partnership, they gave a lot of insight that could have saved us time as providers if we would have had to talk to them, if we would have had a chance to talk to them earlier. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff coming back.
Thank you, Gay. We just have one more question.
Yeah, and I want to say before reading the final question for the operator panelists, I want to say thank you to all of you, right, for the incredible amount of work that went into summer, the incredible bravery and trust that went into being part of a pilot organization. Like, as we can hear on this, like, not everything was, roses and chocolates and sweet and easy. It was really a messy process, as most pilots are. And working with the district, as we know from doing it as individual organizations and collaboratively, is complicated, right? I do really appreciate the willingness, like Bobby was saying, to, start somewhere, right? And like, we start where we're at and we grow to the top, right? We know that things are going to improve over time. And I think what's really incredible for me is thinking about the fact that the school year offers a longer runway to working together than the summer, right? So the summer was both a fast turnaround in terms of planning, but also execution. And the school year gives us a little bit more lead up, and also that chance to build relationships over multiple months and hopefully multiple years, as well as the ability to like learn from the lessons of the summer and know what we need to coordinate additionally. So closing it out on a high note, we all made it through. The young people overall had a more robust experience because of the involvement of all the operators and the BRAYN content providers. So I would like for the panelists to share a celebration that demonstrates how young people benefited from all the hard work that went into the program. And we'll go with the same order. So starting with Breck, and then Boys and Girls Club, and then Big Buddy.
One of from the second to last day of camp to the last day of camp, I did not sleep because I was up all night compiling a document of photos that showed the journey that we took from day one, and it talked about the topics that we covered and the activities that we did, and how we did a lot of team building, and I made those available. That was the activity that we did in the morning. Well, the first part of our final blowout day was putting together memory books. We probably lacked the amount of time to do it right, but the kids got to flip through all the pictures and see lots of happy faces, and oh, look, there I am, and oh, look, there I am, and I remember when we did this. So one of our biggest challenges as students He didn't want to have anything to do with it until everybody started talking about all their pictures. And I said, he said, I bet you ain't got none of me in there. And I said, of course we do. And so he got into it and he started sitting there. And at the end, when everyone else was closing up shop, he was not done and he wanted to keep finishing his. So we did have great times. We had wonderful times. And that is, I put my own book together and I have it in my office. And that will forever be something that I remember, and how I choose to remember is all the happies and all the positives, and not the challenges we faced every day. But it was very rewarding for me. My mom says, "Careful what you pray for," and I've been missing and bemoaning not being on frontline anymore. And then I had this dumped on me, and it was certainly not an unrewarding endeavor. And I feel like I may never see any of those kids ever again, but I will be overjoyed if I'm at the Mall of Louisiana somewhere or at Walmart and I hear Miss Claire and I've got a child running at me. So I will be very excited about that. I feel like we definitely gave them a good June. So that was a very positive thing for us.
Yeah, so it was fun. We had a fun summer with not having to spend so much money on like transportation and things like that. We were able to take like the field trips and the just things that the kids were able to do, and we multiplied them. We made them very big. So our kids went on some great field trips. They had great experiences and they learned a lot. And one thing we're seeing right now, we haven't opened our registration for the fall, but we're getting phone calls already. Parents are calling. They're ready to enroll for the fall. I think it's going to boost our enrollment just off of this summer and showing the kids the things that Boys and Girls Club offer, and just those experiences and doing those things with the parents. And yeah, so fun, and then also growth.
Absolutely, Bobby. And Gay.
Yeah, I just want to say it was a fun summer for us, and we saw that we continued another 2 weeks after the district's program was over and opened it up to the other students who were at the schools who were in like the literacy programs, the 100% academic programs, and just saw a number of them come over and be a part of it. And so that lets us know that it was a success. Us two being, phone calls, when are y'all coming back? When are you starting? We're trying to catch our breath, really, for finish. You just finished last week. I don't know if Jasmine McClendon is our program manager, was on the ground with the goodness that happened actually at site. If she had anything to share, I wanted to yield to her. Maybe not. Our lights just came back on, so she may have stepped away. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And there are several comments in the chat that are, so supportive. Dr. Harrison said, children will always remember the way you make them feel, which is so true. Like SK said, it's messy, but what was it, Gay? You said something in here as well, and I like that as well, because it was really true that, let's see, you said remembering, I keep scrolling past it, but I wanted to say
remembering the positives is how we improve the delivery.
It's the delivery. So thank you all for participating in that panel discussion and sharing the successes and the challenges of the summer. BRAYN continues to improve the process, and we will be following up with the operators really soon about continuing the summer evaluation. As we talked about today, the pilots are underway. So please let us know if you are interested in being certified and working with one of those pilot programs. I am going to go ahead and shuffle back to our presentation where we will talk about the BRAYN announcements, and then let you all share what's going on in the community, and then say goodbye for now. So next month is back to school. We know you have more than enough to do next month, so BRAYN will not have a convening. However, just like in May, we will have a resource that will go out to members and guests. Our next convening will actually be in person September 15th from 10 to 12. This is actually going to be a workshop that will help you read your organization's analytics. So please make sure you bring your laptop. We'll have more information about the speaker for that convening and just, all of the details that you need. BRAYN will be in the community at the EBRPSS Back to School Bash on August 5th. We are always more than happy to promote your programs. We know there are a plethora of events going on everywhere and you can't be everywhere, but if you can drop off promotional items or flyers for us to promote your programs, that is a member benefit that we welcome and are very happy to do on your behalf. Drop them off at Big Buddy. I will have something in the newsletter as well as other communications in the near future. Oh, actually that's August 5th. So it'll actually go out Monday on if you want to drop off promotional items or flyers for the Back to School Bash. BRAYN certification for this semester is over. However, I know there were 3 that were pending. And they weren't able to get it in by the deadline. I did see that someone already emailed me theirs. So if you finished your LOI and something happened where you weren't able to get it submitted, but you have it today, please go ahead and submit it. And I will talk with the membership working group. The more members that are certified at the start of school, the stronger we can start, the more options the principals have. And I will just tell you, the principals are finding out little by little about BRAYN and they are welcoming it. They are happy to have just a directory of services that they can offer to, have at their schools. So please, work on certification. Let us know what your barriers are, how we can help. Like SK said earlier, the next certification will be in September. So if you had one already, you could get it in by today, go ahead and submit it. But then after that, it will definitely be September. The organizations that did apply for certification, as I said in the email, you will receive information on the next steps by the end of this month. All right, and so now I will leave space for community announcements. Who has something going on this weekend, next month? I will let you all share. Or you can put it in the chat.
And while folks are getting their
Nobody
announcements
has
ready, I'll just lift up
anything?
what Boo had put into the chat. Please sign in before you go and make sure that your organization is on the attendance for today.
Yes, please do. Good. So I see Empower 225 has an after school program. What is
I
it?
don't see the- I don't
Dreamville
see
after
the
school
date.
program.
I don't see the date.
Yeah, can you tell us about this, Ebony? I see you have a back to school bash as well. Is this the same thing?
The after school program actually is in the works. It's going to be starting next month. We just gave like a coming soon flyer. And then dates will be solidified by mid-August once the youth are in school. But it's going to be Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. But an actual start date has not been solidified just yet.
But what is Dreamville? Like, what is the program?
So we called it Dreamville. It's just the after school program. The youth will be able to come out and they'll be able to get some life skills. They'll also be able to get maybe some minor tutoring because we'll have some volunteer teachers come in, and then also they'll have some activities where they'll participate, kind of sort of in an activity way, but it's more of social learning, emotional intelligence. They'll be able to learn about themselves and learn about just different topics through gaming. So outside gaming, we have water activities that we're able to teach them, team building and just different resources as such. And we'll have other partners and job that's around us that'll be coming in. So the fire department, they'll be able to come in and give them information. We have employee BR coming in, they'll be able to give them some career skills and job development skills. We just have different employees that we partner with to have them come in and teach the youth trades, and that you don't necessarily have to go to college. So yeah, that's what after school will be, and it'll be starting next month.
Okay, that's great. Yes, and we know the statistics show that for every one in a program, 4 more need programs. So congratulations on your after school program. Can you tell us what zip code that program?
Yes. Yes, it'll be 70805, 70807, 70806, and 70802.
All right. We definitely, Ebony, need to follow up next week for sure.
Okay, yes, that'll be great.
All right. And then I see you have a back to school bash on July 22nd. So it's a school supply giveaway.
Yes, this Saturday we'll have a school supply giveaway. We'll have some food and some fun, some activities for the youth to get involved with as well. The youth does not have to be present for the school supply giveaway. The whole family is actually invited out to come out. We do this every 4th Saturday, and then this Saturday it just happens to be our back to school bash as well.
Oh, okay. So you said they don't have to be present to.
Yeah, because some of the back to school bashes, the youth have to be present to receive the uniforms or the school supplies. We're only doing school supplies, so the youth does not have to be present to receive those school supplies.
Okay. All right. Is that on the flyer?
I don't think it's on the flyer.
Okay.
But we get a lot of calls about it anyways, and on social media. So yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Ebony.
No problem.
I see that MyWe is having its end of summer showcase. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Where is it and so on?
I can. Yeah. So it's so the end of the summer showcase is called Can y'all hear me okay? It's a little okay. It's called Total Teen Takeover. So it is our showcase planned by our teens and then executed by our teens who are in the Mayor's Youth Workforce Experience Program. So this is a celebration that we do every summer, sponsored by Healthy Blue and the Safety Place. So this year it's going to be at Red Stick Social on Friday, August 4th from 2 to 5. So if you click on the flyer that I posted, there's a little RSVP link. So if it's helpful to RSVP, but of course you may just, come on and bring your friends or bring another partner. It's a great, just kind of ceremonial event where we honor all of our scholars, our host sites, partners. It's also the scholars' last payday. So there's going to be a lot of kids, but come on and join us.
Thank you, Malia. Sounds like a lot of fun. All right. Let's see, Boo, you have Community Service Day also on July 22nd. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for allowing me to speak about it. So we have a Community Service Day. Northdale Superintendent Academy is one of our public schools and EBR schools, and we and they needed some help just getting the school together. They're still in the hiring process for a lot of their teachers. So so by the time the teachers do get hired and in, school gonna be in, like almost started. So it's like so they need like all hands on deck, just getting the school to where it needs to be like before it's time, because like I said, they kind of like short-handed. So if anybody has any time to come tomorrow morning, we doing it from 8 to 12, whatever time that you could spare. We just need a little bit of help. You don't have to sign up. I'm not holding you to it, but it would be helpful. You can go to curewithlove.com/service. Once again, that's curewithlove.com/service. Make sure it's all lowercase. I just recently found out that makes a difference. So yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Will you put that in the chat just so people can copy and paste, and I'll give Forrest a chance to talk to us about EBRPSS Parish. Forrest, are you still on here? I think he had to go to a conference, so we do see his flyer. It says I guess Rick is now in Iberville Parish. 8th to 10th grade students in Iberville Parish can apply. For a program that starts September 14th. Claire, do you want to tell us about your event?
Yeah, this it's called Wonders of Wildlife, and it basically addresses the human condition in East Baton Rouge Parish, where we have a very urban environment. We still have wildlife, and it's the age-old most questions we get. Raccoons are a nuisance. What do we do? We found a baby bird. What do we do? I found a turtle and I made him a pet, and don't know how to take care of him. And it's the learning about living with and beside wildlife in our environment. So it's got a lot of information about the most commonly encountered urban wildlife species, things to watch out for. It helps to teach kids the same thing about, if you see a wildlife thing, go get an adult, don't approach it. They're not pets, that kind of a thing. It's a great, wonderful day. They have components out on the trail. We've got a lot of partner agencies, Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. There's a nonprofit group of reptile enthusiasts that are all about education. They'll be there talking about anything and everything reptile and amphibian. The Audubon Society will be there talking about birds and birding opportunities within our parish, birding programs, how to learn how to bird, things like that. And it's got admission. I think kids are 4 and adults are 5 per person. I have the link for more information right there.
Yeah, thank you. That's cool.
It's
I'm a
in
hiker,
August,
so
August 19th.
okay, I'll have to look at my calendar. That's right up my alley. I'm a hiker, so I don't necessarily love wildlife, but I definitely need to know.
Yes,
what
a
to do.
fox in your neighborhood. I see that question. Yes, foxes.
yeah,
There's an actual nonprofit group that tracks foxes in East Baton Rouge Parish. They were doing research out of LSU at one point, but I think they still use their reporting features. I think their research has concluded, but there's a lot of foxes in Baton Rouge, a lot.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot more coyotes. That's the biggest thing.
So
Coyotes.
you were joking, Gay?
No, I thought I saw a fox.
The red foxes are very, very adaptive, and they're very quiet and elusive. But they're being seen more and more and more. So they're adapting. The coyotes as well. They're being pushed out of the fringes of the parish, but they're learning to adapt and actually find food sources. Foxes are omnivores. They eat just about everything. So they'll get into garbage. They'll eat berries from trees and fruit, and coyotes are targeting feral cats, feral or outdoor cats. That's why we advocate keeping cats indoors, because coyotes get them.
And she said, "Oh my gosh."
Yes.
I really thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. I was like, that looks like a fox, but I'm not a wildlife person, but I will know to run now.
No, the foxes are harmless. Foxes are harmless. They may look big, but they weigh less than most well-fed house cats. So foxes are no big deal. They're out there after little rodents and shrews and berries and nuts and things. The coyotes are definitely much more of a concern. They tend to hang out in packs, and yeah. So come learn more at our event.
Well, thank you so much, Claire, for the lesson as
There you
well
go.
as the invite. And I'm with Boo when he said, I ain't chancing it. But like I said, I'm a hiker, so I do run into wildlife, but I just go the other way and I walk quietly. So far, so good. Okay, well, so those of you who, see foxing all over Baton Rouge, stay safe. Is there anyone else who Dr. Harrison?
No,
Yes.
no, I don't want to say, I wanted to bring your attention to Forrest text.
Oh, okay. He sent
Yeah.
something in the
He
chat.
said
Okay, let me see.
yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, he said he did tell me that he was at a conference. So he says, please reach out to me at forrest@thebrick.org if you have any questions or know of any families in Iberville Parish that that might benefit from our services, mentoring and tutoring, ACT prep, and college prep. So he is Forrest at thebrick.org. I will copy and paste. If you should be able to see it in the chat because he has his email there, Forrest at thebrick.org. Thank you, Dr. Harrison, for bringing that to my attention. Is there anyone else who wants to shout out a event that's coming up? It doesn't have to be, just next week. All right, well, if that is it, I will let you all have 14 days back in your day and say goodbye for now and have a great back to school.